how's everybody doing? Kobra Trading here, back for another Bitcoin analysis. I'm doing these 2 days a week, back on schedule now, Mondays and Fridays. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I'm gonna kind of just do these rather quickly. There's no need for like 20-30 minute analysis on this stuff, especially since I'm doing it twice a week. Obviously, weekly chart, no need to go over that. It's pretty much the same deal here, you know, as it has been for quite some time. Let me turn on the itchy, see if it's changed. Nope, pretty much all still the same. On the weekly chart, we're still using this 50 EMA as support. If this breaks, we are definitely going to go deep. Our next stop would probably be close to, if not testing, this 100 EMA down here, which is currently just about $6,900. So we'll keep a close eye on that. On the daily chart, it looks like our awesome oscillator is still trying to get some bullish momentum here. We haven't exactly crossed the zero line, but we do have two bullish bars in a row. Keep in mind that you know, this can change. See how we got one little bearish bar here in the center, two bearish bars here. So normally when you see something like this and it's not just a straight influx like this with all solid bars or something like this right here, or to the downside, something like this, normally that indicates just a period of indecision, which is pretty much correct at this point. We're sitting below the Kijun-sen, this blue line right here. Our MFI indicator, this is similar to the RSI. I like to use this more. This is sitting literally pretty much right in the center here, almost exactly at 50. And in terms of our daily chart, you know, we're pretty much just still going sideways here. If I go ahead and turn this off just to keep the chart a little cleaner. As you guys have all seen, this is my master count. This is the count that I've been sticking to. Go ahead and delete these fib pulls. Delete that too. And this. This is basically just my master count here. As I've said before, you guys can feel free to, I'll just leave this right here for a second. You guys can feel free to take this, screenshot it, use it, whatever you want. It's fine by me. This is just my master count. All of this is subject to change if this does not play out. But as I mentioned in my last video, basically what I have is this being very similar, this whole structure here being very similar to what happened in 2017, and then we had our correction here in 2018. This is basically almost an exact, I mean, if you zoom out, I can illustrate this better. This is almost an exact fractal of this entire thing. I mean, if you can't see this by now, you know, we had our huge run just like this, our little dips and dives around the way, you know, on the way up. We had our top, then we had a lower top, lower top. Then we had our, you know, our another little pop up right here, and then another one, and then we just kind of went sideways until we dropped. Pop, pop, and then we just kind of went sideways, boom, and then we dropped on November 14th, and then we just kind of hit our bottom, bounced around for a little bit, and then went sideways for the better part of, I don't know how long was this, about 2 months, 2 or 3 months here. So that's pretty much what's happened. We've had our bull run, we had our lower high, we corrected, we came back up to retest, got rejected, had one little pop, we went sideways and sideways and sideways and sideways, and then sure enough we got our big drop. To me, this was capitulation. We were at about 10,250 and we dropped all the way down to $7,700, so that's quite a big drop. In my opinion, that would be capitulation right here, and now we're just in a level of accumulation, so a lot of sideways movement, lots of chop here. In November of 2018 when this happened, basically we ended up getting a truncated fifth wave right before we started heading back up. So I'm pretty much proposing that that's exactly what's happening here. I'm proposing right now, unless obviously, of course, we get a lower low here than we've already had, that basically what ends up happening is that this would be our final part for the main count here, right? So this would be the last C leg, which is a part of our larger WXY correction, which would also make it the beginning of wave 2. Or the end of wave 2, sorry, for the beginning of wave 3. And then obviously this was a very clear 5 wave sequence down here to complete our 3. So as of right now, this pretty much lines up. We've had a 5 wave sequence up into this right here, and there's questions about this, and this is why I have both of these labeled. Obviously, a 4th wave is not a 5 wave sequence, so I'm just keeping this here because this is part of an alternate count. Yes, I do know how to count Elliott waves. Yes, I do know that a 4th wave does not have a 5 wave sequence in it. But basically, this is just this 4 could very well be over here for all I know. And we're going to pop up again and, make another high over here or something. I don't know yet. So that's part of 2 different counts, basically. But the way that I have it right now is that stupid magnet is that we had our 5 wave sequence up, and now we had a B wave. We're finishing our C wave right now downwards, which does make sense. This does look like a 5 wave sequence to me. You've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. I could also be wrong on this, and this entire first segment could be a 1 and this is a 2, and we just went down for a very short 3 or something. Or the 3 is not complete and we go lower. But as of right now, as it stands, this is the count that I have. And this would be a truncated 5th in comparison to the 3, which is what happened last year. And then after this, we just kind of went sideways for a while. So this is pretty much the trade that I'm in right now. I am long on this. And basically, the reason why I have a line here is because there is some bullish divergence going on. We have been getting higher lows on the 4-hour chart in terms of our MFI indicator and lower lows in terms of price. So that's also happened on our awesome oscillator. We've had a higher low here. So that would make sense that there is some bullish divergence here. We also held this very important level of my range lines almost perfectly to the T. First we tapped it and then we tested it again. However, on this wick, we did not make a lower low. We have made 3 consecutive lower lows now. So I think that is extremely important. And we pretty much really springboarded right on out of there, just like we did before, except this one was just a tad bit lower. How much lower was it? 77, 67, about $50, $60 lower on this one. But again, same thing. Every time that we've come down here, we've really springboarded out of here. We did it here, we did it here, we did it a couple times over here, and now we've just done it again. That indicates that there is extreme support down at these levels, and each time that we've made a higher low, we've made a higher low. So that's a good thing. That means that there's growing support down here. That is bullish. Also this blue trend line, basically I have, as you saw, my stop loss is down here. This would be like last resort. Like if this level breaks at 7,700, basically we're pretty much going to 72, 75 first, and then probably 72 if 75 doesn't hold. So that's why my stop loss is down there. But in the meantime, this was my whole buy area here down into I think the 775 region, I think it was, and then all the way up. My first target, I had algo pulls here, little fib pulls for my target. This isn't reversed. It is reversed. I believe my first target was just under the 382, and then my second target is just under the 618 at about 84. So first target is definitely doable. We have, we almost saw those levels the last time. And if we're finishing a downward move here, then it's definitely possible to come back up and see something like that. We could also come back up temporarily and then come down and maybe form some kind of inverse head and shoulders here or something, and then really take a rip out. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. But that's pretty much how this is looking on the 4-hour. Let me go ahead and take this off. The Ichimoku on the 4-hour chart, we're still definitely very below the Kijun-sen, the Tenkan-sen. We're definitely below the cloud. Lots of indecision here with cloud making and everything. I did have a bullish outlook when I saw this being formed back when we were back here. And I thought that was good, but yet we hadn't bottomed or anything. We weren't close to the bottom yet on our MFI indicator, and this was very, very bearish. So until then, I was pretty much just shorting. Normally, when you're under the cloud, you short. In a situation like this where we don't really have a cloud above us, I mean, obviously there is a cloud above us, but this is very, very indecisive right now, which is why this trade that I'm in terms of a long position it's a little more risky. I only went 5x with a small position size, and my stop loss is pretty conservative, basically just below this last candle. If we do get below here, then obviously that's super bearish. I think my stop is 77.50 or something like that. I'm not sure. It's somewhere down here. Anyway, actually, let me look at it on my other screen real quick. My stop is 77.49, so that makes sense. I think my first trigger entry was at what is it here? Average entry is 79.33 right now, so that's kind of good. I don't expect us to keep going up all through here. That's a longer term position, but let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour chart and take the Ichimoku off. Take these off. And let's see. So in terms of our range lines here, we don't really have very much going on. I mean, you know, once we dropped below this line, obviously we were super bearish. We used our 11.3 or 113 as support. We couldn't hold above the 236, and then once we fell back down, we broke through both of those, and actually, you know, that's it's not good. You know, we tested this bottom yellow line, but we did manage to hold, and that's why my outlook is a little more bullish on this, because on the 1 hour chart especially, we have had some very significant movement upwards. And this formation right here, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a giant bear flag, it's a giant bear flag. To me, it doesn't really look as much of a bear flag as it could potentially, this is the bear scenario here, as it could potentially be some kind of, let me turn this off, as it could be some kind of wedge potentially. But I think that we have a lot more room to go up before that's kind of, you know, decided here. I don't particularly agree with this being called a bear flag, because that's, you know, it's just not that kind of formation. With the trend lines I just drew, it definitely has the potential to be more of a rising wedge. But again, my ladders are a lot deeper here, so I think that if we do correct, you know, we would probably be testing, you know, down into here, into this region, one more time, to be going for you know, like another higher low or something like that. But usually when you get some kind of a flag, normally it's in this kind of situation where you have like a very serious uptrend, and then you correct and you end up forming a very clearly defined you know, channel like this. You know, it's very clearly defined, you know, and then you end up breaking up out of it. Normally, like if you flip this chart upside down, that's normally, in terms of a bear flag, that's normally what you would be looking for. Like this, obviously this was not a bear flag. This wasn't even a wedge. It was just straight up sideways movement. And then we broke down. We just went sideways here, then we broke up, then we went sideways, we broke down, and now we're coming up. There wasn't really a trend before this. We, you know, we went down, we came up, we went down. You know, it's not really, obviously the overall trend is downwards, but I don't really see this as a bear flag right here. So anyway, I think that we have some room to keep going up. As I said, we definitely do need to break 8,000 and hold. So that would be definitely our first move, is we need to break this little resistance line right here. This needs to get broken. So if we can get up above this, that would be very good. Normally, when we start getting into these areas, we see some giant movement here, where we had a little Bart head here, and then we came down. So I'm assuming that what's going to end up happening is we're going to follow, you know, this little trend line up like this, and then, you know, we'll probably end up coming to this apex or something, and then just, you know, coming out of here. That is what I'm assuming, but only time will tell. Bitcoin does what it wants. Also, this bullish divergence is a little more obvious here on the 1 hour chart. You can kind of make that out a little better. So All right, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you today. Stay tuned and make sure that you take it easy for the weekend. I'm going to have my positions open during the weekend. That's normally something that I don't do, but I'm not going anywhere this weekend, so I'm going to have some time to monitor it and do stuff like that. But besides that, make sure that if you are in risky trades like this, always use low leverage, use smaller position sizes, always reduce your exposure if you're not 100% sure about the trade. But low risk, low reward, high risk, high reward. If this ends up being the bottom, that could end up potentially being the trade of a decade. So it's always nice to be able to kind of have that gloating power, when you like called the bottom, quote unquote. So there is the potential for this to be the bottom. Is it? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know if we reject how deep we're going to go, but that's what stop losses are for. So until next time, trade safe, guys, and have a nice weekend.